Hello everyone, welcome back to Tom Reads Things. My name is Tom, I hope you are all well. So today what I thought I'd do is my February wrap up. Unfortunately it's a very short wrap up. As some of you may know who follow me on Instagram, my dog Harry has not been very well. So we have spent a lot of time at the vets and a lot of time looking after him. He's on the road to recovery now, thank goodness. But yeah, so I haven't really done a huge amount of reading, but I will go through the books that I have read with you now. So the first book that I read in February was Persuasion by Jane Austen. I have no idea what this is about because I only got 40 pages through and I DNF'd it. One of my things this year is trying to get better at DNFing books that I'm really not enjoying. And unfortunately this is one of them. So this is my fourth Jane Austen book. Pride and Prejudice I absolutely loved. Mansfield Park I really didn't like and I DNF'd that as well. Northanger Abbey I really liked, and this one I have DNF'd. I just couldn't get into the story. I didn't like the writing style, didn't really like the characters. I've heard that this was her last novel, I think, and it went to publication unproofed. So yeah, perhaps that's some of the reason behind it. I'm definitely going to read more Jane Austen and see where I go from there. But yeah, I didn't really get through much of this book at all. So the next book I read in February was Blood and Sugar by Laura Shepherd Robinson. Now this book I enjoyed. It follows the story of a gentleman in London. He has been at war in the US and lost touch with a friend of his at university. And one day back in London, he hears of the death of his friend who was found hanging in Deptford on Deptford docks with a slave brand branded onto him. And the story follows his quest to find out who his killer was. I have done a separate video on this. It was the last video that I did, so I won't talk for too long about this. But yeah, it was really good, set in Georgian London, lots of kind of atmosphere and suspense. It did take me a while to get through. I'm not really sure why. It has quite large font, so I would have thought that it wouldn't have taken me that long to get through. The chapters aren't overly long. It's not incredibly long. I think it's about 500 pages, 450 pages, something like that. So yeah, that's another reason why I didn't really get through much in February, is because this took me ages. I don't know why. So the next book I read in February was The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, I really liked this book. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. It is very atmospheric, as I'm sure most people know the story of The Hound of the Baskervilles. I kind of knew it because I'd seen a theatre production of it a while ago, many years ago, and I remember really liking the theatre production and thinking that it was really atmospheric and really eerie, really creepy, and full of suspense, and this book is exactly the same. It's the first Arthur Conan Doyle that I've read, and it's my first time reading Sherlock Holmes. I really enjoyed it. Love his writing style. This book is such a good length. I think if it would have gone on much longer, it would have lost its pacing. But yeah, it's a really good length, very thrilling and full of suspense. It kind of reminded me a bit of The Taming of the Shrew by Henry James. Again, I think it's the kind of short, sharp shock of it. The Taming of the Shrew is incredibly chilling and is very short as well, and you kind of get a real rush and burst of this really quite frightening writing, which this had as well. So yeah, I'm sure everyone knows the story of the Hound of Baskervilles, so I won't babble on for ages talking about what the story of the Hound of the Baskervilles is, but yeah, do pick this up, well worth a read. So the last book that I read in February was My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I really liked this book for many different reasons. It follows the story of Korede and her sister Ayoola, who live in Nigeria, and Ayoola is a serial killer. That's not a spoiler, you find that out I think probably in the first chapter. And the story follows these two sisters as when the story opens, Ayoola has just killed, I think, her 3rd man, and the story follows them as Korede gains a love interest and Ayoola kind of gets in on that love interest, and Korede's kind of fear for what might happen to that man in the future, as she obviously knows what Ayula's capable of. Now, this book is incredibly short. It's really not that long at all. The chapters are very, very, very short. 1 2 3 4 pages max. And what I really, really liked about this book is that it kind of gives you segments and snippets of just the important information that you need to know. It doesn't go into huge amounts of detail about backstory and everything like that. It just gives you the information you need to know to follow the story, but then it just gives you enough background information for you to understand that what you're being told here is just the tip of the iceberg in these girls' lives. That you can tell that there is a huge amount of things that have gone on in their past which have led them to this point. And that's what I really, really liked about this book. It doesn't go on for pages and pages and pages telling you all about their history and why she's a serial killer and all of that kind of thing. It just gives you enough to make you think, wow, there's a huge amount that's gone on in their lives to get them to this point. And that, I really think that was incredibly cleverly written by Ian Cambraithwaite. I thought that it was really, really great. So yeah, if you do get a chance, do pick this up. Definitely one of my top books of the year. So yes, do give it a go. So that's it, a very, very short February wrap up. I will be uploading a video probably on Monday or Tuesday talking about my favourite classics. So yeah, see you then.